The time. We'll come back to your assessment of the cabinet, but let's get one of these key figures, one of the big jobs involved, and get his view on it. James Cleverly has stayed as Foreign Secretary. He joins me now. We understand this is the cabinet to fix the crisis, says Rishi Sunak. Why is that so? Good morning, Foreign Secretary.
Nick, good morning. Well, what the Prime Minister has done is that he has made sure that he's been magnanimous in victory, and that he has ensured that the cabinet that he has built around himself has come from all the various wings within the Conservative Party, from people that supported him and people that didn't necessarily support him through the leadership competition. He's obviously brought experience in, and he expects us to get to work immediately, and that's why I think that's part of the reason why I was reappointed. Delighted to have been reappointed.
Were you surprised?
We made it very, very clear. Well, it's always a bit of a nerve-wracking time on reshuffle day. I felt that the Foreign Office has worked very, very well. Now, that's clearly not just down to me. There are many civil servants and other ministers involved in that, but I felt we were doing a good job. He wanted continuity. He wanted us to continue to deliver, and I think that's been part of the reason why I've been reappointed.
See, here's the thing, Mr. Cleverly. You are undoubtedly a decent bloke, but it was only a matter of a few weeks ago that you were telling me, never mind me, you were telling my listeners that Boris Johnson had to stay in position because he'd got all the big decisions right, COVID, getting Brexit done, whatever it might be. Roll on a couple of weeks later and you were telling me that Liz Truss must stay in position because we cannot possibly cause more imbalance and a lack of security and a clear path. Now you're telling me Rishi Sunak is the future. Who's next? Paddington Bear?
Nice line, Nick. But the point is that I had said, I've been consistent, that what the British
Mr.
people
Cleverly,
need
I do
want,
like you as a bloke. You have not been consistent.
No,
you've been pro-Boris, pro-Liz, and now pro-Rishi.
What I said when Boris was Prime Minister is that the country didn't need or want any more disruption. We have had an unbelievably turbulent couple of years, and what I said was that the country needed the government to be focused on them, not turning in on itself. Unfortunately, that argument didn't hit home, and my Conservative colleagues decided that Boris should step down. I've worked with Boris for a long time, from the time he was Mayor of London.
Yeah.
I worked with Liz for a very long time. I've worked closely with Anne. She was a very, very good Foreign Secretary, and I saw that, I recognised that. But ultimately, she stood down as well. And ultimately, what we now need is what I've always wanted, which is the government exclusively focused on the British people. That's all I've wanted. That's all I've ever called for. That's the consistency. Rishi is an incredibly experienced politician. He was Chancellor during one of the most difficult economic times in British post-war history. I have no doubt, and I've never had any doubt, that he will be a fantastic Prime Minister. The fact that we have a number of people who could potentially have been great Prime Ministers, I think, is an important asset.
But you didn't initially back him this time round, of course. You say you have no doubt now. You were initially calling for the return of the big dog.
Well, as I say, because I've always said that we need to be able to deliver from day one. We needed experience. Boris was the most experienced person on the ticket, but he chose not to stand. The next most experienced person on the ticket was Rishi, and I have no doubt that he will hit the ground running. That's all I've ever wanted, is the British government to be focused on the British people. I don't think maintaining that as an argument is inconsistent.
Late yesterday morning, the Prime Minister could not have been clearer about he wants the government to be about integrity and accountability, and he stressed that as he was outside Number 10. And yet we see returning as Home Secretary Suella Braverman, who last week in part lost her job because of a security breach over an email. Where's the integrity there, Foreign Secretary?
Well, Suella, she made a mistake. She has said that she made a mistake. She apologised for the mistake that she made, and the Prime Minister has clearly accepted that apology.
It's quite a high-level mistake. It's not like me getting the time wrong or introducing you as the MP for Basildon and not Braintree. This is quite a big mistake, and she's got one of the biggest jobs in the land.
So when you're at the centre of government, every decision you make is a big decision. That is the nature of the job that we do. But she said that she made a mistake. She's apologised for that mistake. The Prime Minister has accepted the apology, but she has also made it clear she will be relentlessly focused on cracking down on crime, on protecting our borders, on making sure British people can be safe. That is her passion, and it's clear that the Prime Minister, quite rightly, wants to see that delivered in government. And that's what my constituents in Braintree, as you say, not Basildon, Braintree,
Indeed.
that's what they want the Home Office focused on. And having a Home Secretary that is passionate about those things is no bad thing at all.
Can we come to something that's very much on your brief, which is Ukraine?
Yeah, of
It
course.
is well known that Boris Johnson fostered very close links with Volodymyr Zelensky, and I think we could say both parties admired each other enormously. How confident are you that this will be replicated with Prime Minister Sunak?
Oh, look, I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that I've got to stop calling him Rishi. The Prime Minister will be.
I'm sure in private moments you can call him Rishi, Mr. Cleverly.
So I have no doubt the Prime Minister will be just as focused on helping the Ukrainians defend themselves against Russian aggression. His first phone call as Prime Minister was to President Zelensky. I spoke to the Ukrainian Foreign Minister yesterday. Whilst we were waiting for the reshuffle to happen. I've texted him immediately after I was reappointed. Our support for Ukraine is unwavering.
Well, I think we see that because
I know.
I'm sorry to talk over you,
go
but it's quite interesting. That's surely demonstrated because my understanding, Foreign Secretary, is the first call normally is to the President of the United States. So the very fact that he phoned Volodymyr Zelensky shows he's determined to keep as tight as Ukraine as Mr. Johnson and indeed Liz Truss attempted to.
Yes, and it's in our interest. I mean, it is the right thing to do. It's the morally right thing to do, but it is also in our national interest because if we allow the message to be sent around the globe that violent aggressors can invade their neighbours with impunity, then the world becomes an ungovernable place. And that is not in the interest of British people. So it's absolutely right. Of course, the Prime Minister has now also spoken with President Biden, and he's spoken with the leaders of the devolved administrations around the UK, showing, I think, what we need to demonstrate to the British people and the world, that we are a globally focused country, but also we very, very much want to ensure that within the UK and all the devolved administrations of the UK, we're working on behalf of the people of this country.
As far as you're aware, Foreign Secretary, the financial statement goes ahead for the 31st of October?
Well, I don't want to say that is a cast iron guarantee. Obviously, the date that was set was by the the date set was by the former Prime Minister. We now have a new Prime Minister who was appointed less than 24 hours ago. He will want to work with his Chancellor to make sure that statement matches his priorities. It just strikes me that may, and as I said, I don't want to set hairs running, but that may mean that we have to take a little bit of extra time on that. But we all know that people want certainty, that they want to know what's happening next. And so that will be coming through very, very soon. It may well be on the 31st, but I wouldn't want to give that as a cast iron guarantee just because of circumstances.
Lastly, earlier in the hour, I spoke with someone you'll know well, Gavin Lord Barwell now, who's broadly supported what the Prime Minister has done, although he did raise an eyebrow at the return of Sir Gavin Williamson. Do you support that appointment, Foreign Secretary?
Well, Gavin, again, is a very, very experienced politician. He's held high office. And what we need to do is make sure that the team in government is able to deliver straight away on behalf of the British people. And that does mean relying on new talent, but it also means relying on experience as well. And he is an experienced politician. And I have no doubt that he will want to support the Prime Minister in his objective, which is working on behalf of the British people.
And lastly, Peter Tatchell, the veteran campaigner, has been stopped by police in Qatar. I'm sure you're aware of it. I can give you more details if you're not, but I imagine your team have let you know about that. You are, okay, for the LGBTQ plus protest. Have you spoken with the government of Qatar? How concerned are you about what might be taking place next month when the World Cup kicks off?
So I haven't spoken with the government of Qatar in direct response to Peter Tatchell, but my understanding is that he was questioned, that he was supported by the FCDO's consular team. I have spoken to the Qatari authorities in the past about gay football fans going to watch the World Cup and how they will treat our fans and international fans, and they want to make sure that football fans are safe, secure, and enjoy themselves, and they know that means that they are going to have to make some compromises in terms of what is, an Islamic country with a very different set of cultural norms to our own. One of the things I would say to the football fans is, please do be respectful of the host nation. They are trying to ensure that people can be themselves and enjoy the football. And I think with a little bit of flex and compromise at both ends, it can be a safe, secure and exciting World Cup.
Sir Keir Starmer told me earlier this week he won't be going. Are you?
Well, it is an important international event. I've had to rearrange my diary somewhat because of the reshuffle, but I think if I am able to go, I should go, as I say, because it is a major international event. There'll be lots of my international interlocutors there, and also there'll be a whole load of Brits overseas. And one of the first duties of the Foreign Office is protecting British nationals when they travel abroad.
I hear you, but do you not send more of a message in the way Sir Keir has said that he will not, even if England get to the World Cup final? Sir Keir told me on Monday he will not attend. Does that not send a tougher message, Foreign Secretary?
Well, as leader of the opposition, he's in a lovely position to send messages. I've got real work to do.
Grateful for your time, James Cleverly. Thank you. Foreign Secretary appearing here on LBC 1 minute after 8. Let's get the latest news. Simon Conway.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.